This is what I've labeled the Sea-Gull Bauhaus. It's a simple and quite elegant dress watch from one of the largest Chinese watchmakers. It draws inspiration from Bauhaus designed watches, most notably the Nomos Tangente. But is it just a ripoff of the Nomos? Or is it genuinely a Bauhaus-inspired design? I attempt to answer these questions and more in this review. Hi, I'm Travis and welcome to Timescribe. Here I'm documenting my journey with affordable watches, reviewing them and giving my honest opinion around a lot of watch-related topics. If you're interested in joining me, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. It really helps. Okay, time to get into this watch. This is a dress watch from Sea-Gull with model number D819.612. At the time of recording, it's listed on the AliExpress Sea-Gull official store for $174 but can easily be had in sales for near $120. I got mine in December 2020 for under $100 with coupons. It has a very elegantly designed case with some fantastic dimensions. Coming in at only 39mm wide, it starts out in the right ballpark for a modern dress watch. The 44.2mm lug-to-lug length, 20mm lug width, and thickness of just 8.5mm are what got me excited. The tiny 4.3mm crown is completely unobtrusive. Overall, the dimensions paint the picture of a compelling package. The crystal is slightly domed sapphire crystal with no AR coating as far as I'm aware. The doming makes the thickness even more impressive, as it could have been even thinner than the 8.5mm and more on par with the 8mm quoted thickness on the product page. The case is nicely finished in a high polish which matches the style of the watch. There's a line that runs along the circumference of the case, which may be where the top case is joined to the mid case. The snap-on case back is also done in high polish and laser engraved with the brand name, model number, serial number, all stainless steel, which is the case material, and the advertised 30 meters water resistance. The slightly downturned lugs are quite short and stubby, but because they're so thin, they do a good job of hiding it. The crown is also finished in high polish and adorned with the Sea-Gull S, although the S isn't just laser engraved, but deeply etched into the crown. The watch came on a black faux croc embossed Sea-Gull branded genuine leather strap. It tapers from 20mm at the lugs down to 16mm at the Sea-Gull branded buckle. The strap is of decent quality and not very shiny like a lot of really cheap black leather straps. Even the buckle is quite nicely done and matches the high polish of the case. Generally, I find the strap fits the vibe of the watch quite well, but if you aren't a fan, you might struggle to find a replacement, despite the 20mm lugs. You see, this strap holds a secret. It has curved spring bars. Why? Well, the lugs are so short on this watch that most straps will sit right up against the case and will rub against it. That is, if it even fits. The NATO's I tested were also too thick to fit between the spring bars and the case. Luckily then, the mesh strap that they send along as a free gift is a good one. It somehow fits and articulates quite well. It dramatically changes the appearance of the watch, and I love rocking it during the hot and sweaty Korean summers when leather would be absolutely destroyed. The movement here is Sea-Gull's own ST17, which is a non-hacking manual wind movement with a roughly 36-hour power reserve. It has 17 joules and beats at 21,600 beats per hour, or 3 Hz, translating to 6 ticks per second. It isn't the most accurate movement, with this one coming in at around plus 18 seconds per day, but it's okay. The standout feature of this movement is its thickness, or should I say thinness, and the small seconds complication at the 6 o'clock position. One thing to note about this watch and movement is that it takes about 40 turns to fully wind. With the teeny tiny crown, this is a finger killer. I wish the crown was more suited to the fact that this is a manual wind watch. Anyhow, not a deal breaker, and overall a great movement for the price and what it's trying to achieve. The reason I suspect most people would be interested in this watch is the dial. It's a very minimalistic silver dial with a lot of printing, and I mean a lot. If you'd like to play along, you can take a shot every time I say the word printing or some derivative of that. Alright? Ready? There are printed strokes for the odd numbers and printed numerals for the even numbers. A printed minute track with slightly bolder printed markers at 5-minute intervals, and double printed markers at 3, 6, 9, and 12, as well as the printed Sea-Gull branding just below 12 o'clock, and tiny printing below the minute track at 6 o'clock, denoting that this watch is indeed China-made. The sub-second sub-dial at 6 o'clock is recessed into the dial and features concentric patterns, with even more printing denoting every 5 seconds. The showstoppers on the dial are the blue stick hands. They are so dynamic, going from almost black to neon blue in certain light conditions. My only critique would be that I wish both the hour and the minute hands were a tad longer, but that's me being very picky. Altogether, a beautifully simple dial. But why did I suggest that this is the reason most people would be looking at this watch? Well, that's because of the design style that this watch is trying to imitate, that being Bauhaus design. Now, if you're not familiar with the Bauhaus design and its links to watches, I will give a quick rundown. But first, I will link to a video by ID Guy. It's a brilliant look at Bauhaus watches, and Nomos in particular, from the perspective of an industrial designer. Alright. The Bauhaus was a German art school that desired to combine the trades and fine art. It operated from 1919 until pressure from the Nazi government forced its shutdown in 1933, as they saw the school as breeding ground for communist intellectualism and even labeled it as degenerate art. However, the design language developed there had already taken hold in the minds of many artists, architects, and designers of the time, and it spread throughout the world. It even influenced watch design, with Bauhaus typefaces developed and used on many German watches, like Lange and Stover. But the Bauhaus design principles of simplicity and functionality, as opposed to grandiosity, can be seen in many watches. Almost all well-designed modern watches display elements of Bauhaus design, including the likes of the Rolex Submariner and the Omega Speedmaster, as well as the one we're discussing today, the Nomos Tangente. Many people have said this Sea-Gull is a homage of the Nomos Tangente, and many people see it as a straight copy, and you can see why. The dials are almost exactly the same, but there are subtle differences between the two watches. The font choice for the Arabic numerals is completely different. The case shape and lugs are also completely different, those on the Sea-Gull being more akin to that of another iconic watch with Bauhaus design, the Junghans Maxbill. The crowns are also very different, with the Nomoses being much larger. So, is this a copy of the Nomos Tangente? I say no, not at all. Does it borrow elements from its design? Of course, but the Tangente itself is a borrowed design. I mentioned earlier that Bauhaus design seeped its way into watches around the time that the school had been operating. Have a look at this vintage Lange. It looks very similar to, if not exactly the same as the Nomos Tangente. I would say that the Sea-Gull has made more of an effort to be different than the Nomos has. And this is not me garbaging Nomos, but rather an attempt to explain how this watch is not a copy. It is, in fact, a true homage, borrowing elements from different designs and adding its own spin with the typeface. So, what do I like and dislike about this watch, and do I recommend it? Let me start out with the dislikes, as this list is much shorter than my list of likes. My biggest issue with the watch is the size of the crown. This is a manual winding watch, not an automatic. You have to wind it every few days to keep it alive. In my eyes, the crown should be significantly larger. It's uncomfortable for me to wind, and I imagine it would be torturous if your fingers were bigger. My second gripe is with not being able to find properly fitting straps. The lugs should have been a little longer to accommodate other straps on this watch, or the lug-to-lug length could have been kept the same, but the case size reduced to about 37mm. The watch has a big wrist presence, even at 39mm, because it's basically all dial. I think it could have done with a smaller case, and this would have just kicked it up a notch in terms of elegance, as well as allowing for more options when it comes to strap changes. The third issue is with the water resistance rating. It is a dress watch, so 30 meters of water resistance should be enough, but it would have been nice to see maybe 50 meters of water resistance, just for the added peace of mind, although this is not really that important in my eyes. And now for the likes. First, I love the overall dimensions of this watch, especially the thinness. It wears so well and can easily slip under the cuff of any shirt or jacket that you're wearing. This thinness is made possible by the extremely thin movement, which is a fantastic choice in a watch of this kind. It's fairly reliable for the price, and if it does ever fail, it's cheap enough to be easily replaced. I also love the domed sapphire crystal. No need to worry about this one scratching up anytime soon. And while your strap choices might be limited by the strange lug design, the straps provided are of decent quality. They are comfortable and they suit the watch. Finally, I think the best part of this watch is undoubtedly the design. It is a Bauhaus-inspired design that is a homage of some iconic watches. The case shape is simple and allows the dial to be the star of the show. The dial is similarly clean and simple without looking boring, and the blue hands are mesmerizing. I think this is the best dress watch money can buy for around $120. Thanks for watching the review of the Sea-Gull Bauhaus. Comment down below. What do you think of this watch? Is it a worthy homage? Or do you think it's ripping off the Nomos? Are there any other affordable Bauhaus-inspired style watches? And do you think there's a better dress watch below $150? Okay, also don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you can be notified when I release new videos. Okay, see you next time. Bye.